Hey guys, this is Rupesh from Beebom.com, and the Redmi Note 9 Pro arrived recently and the Realme 6 arrived last week. And now the big question is, should you buy the Redmi Note 9 Pro or the Realme 6? Now I know the Realme 6 seems more feature packed with a 90Hz display, faster charging and more, but there's much more to a phone than just this, right? There's the cameras, the battery, the performance. So yeah, I have been testing things out and let's say the results are pretty surprising. So yeah, I'd suggest you to watch this video till the very end. Now let's get on with the fight. Okay, so this is the Redmi Note 9 Pro and this is the Realme 6 side by side, and we are going into detail. So let's start off with the design. Now to be honest, I think both of these phones look great. They both have different gradient finishes and they both have different style camera setups. When it comes to usability, both of these are fairly big smartphones, but I think the Realme 6 is the more comfortable phone to use. See, the Redmi Note 9 Pro is bigger and it's more hefty at 209 grams compared to 190 grams of the Realme 6. So yes, the Realme 6 does feel better in the hands, but that's also due to the fact that the Realme 6 has a plastic back. Yeah, this looks like glass, but it's actually plastic. The Redmi Note 9 Pro on the other hand has a glass back, metal frame, and yeah, it's the more premium looking of the two. When it comes to the functionality of the design, well, both of these phones have a single speaker on the bottom, which is decent on both of them. So yeah, it's fine. There's the side-mounted fingerprint scanner, which is pretty fast. There's the USB-C port, the headphone jack, the triple slot for dual SIMs and micro SD. But yeah, the Redmi Note 9 Pro does bring a couple of more functionalities that I really like. First up, it has a notification LED, which is a great feature gone rare. And second, it has the IR Blaster, again a great feature. So on the design front, the Redmi Note 9 Pro does pack a punch with features and a more premium design, although yes, the Realme 6 is more handy. Moving on to the display, the Realme 6 has a 6.5-inch display while the Redmi Note 9 Pro has a 6.67-inch display. Now both of these displays are IPS LCDs, but there's one key difference, the refresh rate. The Realme 6 has a 90Hz display, and while using both the phones side by side, I could just feel the difference. The Realme 6 display just feels more smoother when you're scrolling or even doing usual tasks. It's honestly great to see a budget phone come with a smooth 90Hz display. And you know what, I was expecting the Redmi Note 9 Pro to match this, but well, that did not happen. When it comes to display quality, both of these are nice displays, but the Note 9 Pro display is slightly brighter, but overall it's not a big difference. Well, if you ask me, the Realme 6 is the better phone here. Honestly, I'd take a 90Hz IPS LCD over 60Hz IPS LCD any day. So yeah, the Realme 6 is the one for me. But anyway, there's one thing I don't like about both of these phones. See, they both have the Widevine L1 license, and while HD works in YouTube, they both don't have HD support in Netflix and Prime Video, which is really weird. I mean, I just hope both these companies fix it soon. Next up, let's talk performance. The Redmi Note 9 Pro comes with a Snapdragon 720G chipset with up to 6GB RAM and 128GB storage, while the Realme 6 comes with a MediaTek Helio G90T chipset with up to 8GB RAM and 128GB storage. Now, I showed you the benchmark scores in a Note 9 Pro first impressions video, and well, the G90T scores higher than the 720G in Antutu. When it comes to Geekbench, the Snapdragon 720G scores a little higher. Now, as you can see, the difference isn't that huge, but it goes on to show that these chipsets are very close performance. When it comes to the real world usage, I have taken turns to use both these phones as my daily driver in the past 2 weeks, and I can say that both these phones bring great performance. I did not come across any lag or stutter. Now, to be honest, the Realme 6 did feel a little smoother, and that's mainly due to the 90Hz refresh rate, but overall, they both perform really well. When it comes to gaming too, both the phones do well, but when it comes to PUBG Mobile, the Realme 6 has the edge as the G90T supports HDR Ultra graphics, while the maximum 720G can go is HD High. So yeah, that's something you should take note if you are a big PUBG player. Having said that, I found the PUBG performance on both of these phones really smooth, so yeah. Also, I know the Snapdragon 720G is an 8nm chipset and the MediaTek G90T is a 12nm chipset, and that means the 720G should be more power efficient. Well, I tested things out and that exactly wasn't the case. So we played PUBG Mobile at max brightness on HD and high graphics on both the phones for an hour, and mind you, the Realme 6's display was set to 90Hz. Now after an hour, the Redmi Note 9 Pro lost 20% battery, while the Realme 6 lost 21% battery. Yeah, not a big difference. Now if you think about it, the Redmi Note 9 Pro has a bigger battery, so its strain is higher too. So yep, it's not a big difference. Well, if you're wondering about any heating issues, well, both these phones get slightly warm when you're playing games for long hours. The Realme 6 with the MediaTek G90T does get a little more warm, but it's not overheating and I don't think there's any problems here. Overall, I think you'll be fine with any of these phones when it comes to performance. Yep, the G90T does have a slight edge when it comes to gaming, but it's not a big difference, so I think you'll be fine with any of them. On the software front, it's kind of subjective really. Realme UI has good feature pack, and so is MIUI 11. When it comes to bloatware, the Realme 6 let me skip all of the pre-installed apps, so I did that. The Redmi Note 9 Pro, on the other hand, does come with these bunch of pre-installed apps and games, but you can uninstall them, so that's good too. Now moving on to another important comparison, the cameras. Now both these phones have quad camera setups, but the Redmi Note 9 Pro brings a 48 megapixel sensor compared to the 64 megapixel sensor in the Realme 6. Also, the Note 9 Pro has a 5 megapixel macro lens compared to the 2 megapixel macro lens on the Realme 6. Now I have taken comparison shots with both these phones, so let's take a look. Okay, in good light, both these phones capture good shots, but I've noticed two things. It's the fact that the Realme 6 photos are more detailed and have a higher contrast, resulting in more appealing shots. Yep, let's just zoom in on this building here. See the difference? It's due to the 64 megapixel sensor obviously, but like I said, it's not just that. The Realme 6 photos do look more attractive too. Now, there are times when the Note 9 Pro captures better shots because the Realme 6 has just bumped up the contrast a bit too much, but mostly the Realme 6 was better. Is the case in low light as well. In low light, there are times when there's some noise in Realme shots, and yeah, you can notice some noise in the Redmi Note 9 Pro shots as well. But other than that, the Realme 6 always captured more sharper and more detailed shots than the Note 9 Pro. Just look at the leaves in this shot. Now here's another comparison, and again the Realme 6 is just better. When it comes to ultra wide angle shots, both of these phones do a decent job, although I did notice warmer colors in the Note 9 Pro photos. But overall, I'd say both are good, and yeah, it depends on what you like more. I also took some portrait mode shots, and here I like the Realme 6 photos more. I mean, both do a little smoothing on the face, but the Realme 6 photos do look more attractive, while the Note 9 Pro photos do look a bit overexposed. Here's another shot, and look at Akshay's shirt. Yes, the Note 9 Pro photo does seem a bit natural, but the Realme 6 photo looks nicer. Apart from that, I did take a couple of macro shots, and I'm no pro at macro shots, but here the Note 9 Pro is the winner because you can just see the details better here if you zoom in. When it comes to the videos, here's a 4K 30fps video shot from both these phones side by side. Now quality wise, they seem on par and the stability is average because both these phones don't have OIS. However, you can see that the Note 9 Pro's video just has a warm tone, which I don't like much. It's something I noticed in the photos as well, so yeah, hopefully Xiaomi can fix this. Anyway, there's also Pro mode for videos in the Note 9 Pro with features like log, focus peaking, histogram and more, and I think this can come in handy to some people. When it comes to the front cameras, both the phones have 16 megapixel cameras, and here are some comparison selfies. Now I think both of these phones take decent selfies, and while there is some smoothing sometimes, I think the Redmi Note 9 Pro captures more detailed and more sharper selfies. Yeah, as you can see in this photo. Overall, I think the Realme 6 has better cameras in tow. It takes better photos in daytime, low light, videos, you get the idea. The Redmi Note 9 Pro is decent too, but compared to the Redmi Note 8 Pro, it's not a big upgrade. Moving on to the battery and charging, the Redmi Note 9 Pro comes with a massive 5020 mAh battery, while the Realme 6 has a fairly big 4300 mAh battery. Well, I was expecting better overall battery life from the Redmi Note 9 Pro, and well, it did not disappoint. In my usage, which is usual day-to-day usage, I got a screen on time of around 8.5 hours around the Note 9 Pro, which is really good. The Realme 6 is pretty good too. With the phone set to 90Hz, the screen on time of more than 6 hours is also really good. So the battery life is good on both of these smartphones, but yeah, the Redmi Note 9 Pro has a usual 60Hz display and it has a bigger battery, and it did last longer for me, so yeah, it is slightly better. Anyway, charging speed is also pretty important to me, and that's an area where the Realme 6 outright beats the Redmi Note 9 Pro. Check this out. See, the 18-watt charger on the Note 9 Pro takes 2 hours and 15 minutes to charge the phone from 10 to 100%. I know it's a big battery, but that's a lot of time. On the other hand, the 30-watt VOOC charger on the Realme 6 takes just 62 minutes, which is 1 hour 2 minutes. And yeah, this is a big difference. When it comes to the connectivity, both of these phones have all the modern standards, including voice over Wi-Fi. But yes, the Redmi Note 9 Pro does come with Navic support, which is India's very own satellite system. And yeah, the Realme 6 kind of misses out on that. Well, it's time now for the verdict. Redmi Note 9 Pro versus the Realme 6. Well, my choice is the Realme 6. See, the Realme 6 is just the better phone here. It has a better, more up-to-date 90Hz display, better camera performance in almost all major situations, faster charging, and it's a more handy phone, which I think is very important. Now, all of these are important factors here. The Redmi Note 9 Pro is not a bad phone. It's decent and looks really good, has a slightly better battery life, and like the Realme 6, it brings good performance. But other than that, the Realme 6 is clearly just ahead. Yeah, the Realme 6 is the phone I will recommend over the Redmi Note 9 Pro. Well, that was a pretty detailed comparison of the Redmi Note 9 Pro and the Realme 6. And to be honest, the Redmi Note 9 Pro and the Redmi Note 9 Pro Max aren't as impressive as previous smartphones in the Redmi Note series. Anyway, what do you guys think about that? Tell us in the comment section below. Also, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and make sure to share it with your friends who are confused between the Redmi Note 9 Pro and the Realme 6. Lastly, subscribe to our channel for more amazing tech videos. Well, that's me signing off. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.